Good afternoon, everyone, or some of you, good morning, who are on the West Coast. I'm Allison Smalley, Associate Director of Alumni and Donor Engagement and Membership, and welcome to this campus conversation, new programs in the College of the Arts and the Media. Before we go ahead and get started, I'll just remind you of a couple of things I know you've all heard me say before. Please feel free to use the chat function throughout the conversation and or raise your hand. I know that Dean Campbell likes to have participation throughout his presentation, so we welcome that. This presentation, just as all our other campus conversations, is being recorded, and we will send the link to you after the presentation. And additionally, I just wanted to note that we are in the process of creating a YouTube channel to house all of our campus conversations that we've hosted thus far. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Dean Jefferson Campbell.
Hey, thank you, Allison. Welcome, everybody. This is a really exciting time in the College of the Arts and Media. I'll give you a couple of peripheral updates and then jump into the different degree programs that we were supposed to talk about today. As you have probably heard, CMU's campus as a whole, our enrollment is up, and this will be the third year in a row that we have had a larger incoming freshman class than the previous year, which is great. That's some of the best news that we can get for a lot of reasons. I mean, of course, the obvious one is that means more tuition revenue, which means things are a little healthier, a little easier. But more importantly to me is it demonstrates that people are, again, seeing the value and the quality of the programs at CMU, and they're choosing us. And that's what I'm constantly preaching to all of my faculty colleagues, is that this isn't just a game of getting numbers up, and it's not some sort of a goal to just generate revenue, is that we really want healthy programs. We want to come into classrooms when we're faculty and see a full classroom. I mean, there is a flip side to this, right? Is that the more students there are in a classroom, the more papers you have to grade. But that's a good problem to have. And we're really starting to see that not just across the college, but across the campus as well. Every college has new degree programs, new experiential learning opportunities, new initiatives going on, some of which are benefiting multiple colleges. There are some new plans over in the education college that are going to be focusing on virtual reality and augmented reality, which faculty members in this college are going to be part of that. There's plans being designed for an entire new lab featuring that kind of work. We've made some exciting hires in the College of the Arts and Media in the last calendar year. We have a new graphic design faculty member who has a PhD in graphic design, which is pretty new in that field. But one of the things he specializes in is virtual reality and augmented reality. And so we're going to be working towards building him a space to continue to expand on his research and offer coursework and experiences to our students in that area. That kind of work is exciting. We have a new hire in the department or in the communication area within the School of Communication, Journalism, and Media. His background is in health communication, but he also focuses on virtual reality, augmented reality. So that will just add to the experiences of the faculty that we already have working in those areas in public relations and advertising in particular. It's a very exciting time because we're starting to grow and we're starting to build out and speak towards the things that not only that the technological world is telling us that we need to be doing, but also that our students are telling us that they want to do, which again is why students are choosing us more and more often. I've been preaching to the four corners that what we have to offer at CMU, as you probably know, is equivalent to what much larger campuses offer, but we have more of a personal touch because of our size. We have more opportunity. From the first day to your last is one of the slogans that we're adopting within the college, because we offer those opportunities from day one of your freshman year, as opposed to some of the bigger schools where you have to wait to be a junior or a senior or sometimes grad students only. So it's very exciting. I do want to get into and talk about the degrees that I had listed here for our conversation today. And then I'm looking forward to any questions or comments you might have. You know, I want to tell you as alums, I personally am very dedicated in this position to doing everything we can to build ourselves, to engage you, to include you, to bring you in, take your advice, hear what you have to say. Tell us just about your experiences and what made CMU so great so that we can continue to do those things while we're building and expanding. The Alumni Advisory Board will have its next in-person meeting on October 18th here in the same room that I'm sitting in right now. And they're going to be focusing on two things this year. One is building the alumni mentoring network that I've talked about for a little over a year. They've really taken that to heart, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of work that the infrastructure they can build, and what kind of work we can do to get that going, because it's designed not just to help students who are graduating, but also you, people who have been out in the field a while as alums, and help create a little bit more professional connection for you. You all have your professional networks, but it never hurts to have an even wider reach, especially if you want to do something like publish a book. It's helpful to have a network of people you can rely on to help promote that and buy your book and read it and be as marveled as I am as everything you're accomplishing. The second thing the Alumni Advisory Board is going to be working on this year is development and fundraising. They have some projects that they want to do for themselves to benefit the college, but also to go ahead and support and supplant the efforts we've been trying to do. I got to be honest with you, when I came here, there were, let's say, gaps. There were gaps in what we were and were not doing as a college to not only engage alumni, but recruitment, retention, fundraising, a lot of really important places that had either not been really focused on or had kind of gone by the wayside during our COVID years, which were really difficult on everyone. Administration, faculty, students, staff, everyone was sort of just hanging on during that time. But now we're rebuilding. We're reimagining, we're rethinking things. We're headed back into things that we used to do, small things and large things. Small things like next week, we're going to be reinstituting the monthly events email that we used to send as a college 6, 7 years ago, but we haven't done since then. We're going to be doing that, featuring alumni spotlights. It's something small, but it's just another way that we can continue to keep our connections with you and so that you know what's happening. We're also working on it's not a secret, but we're working on a new platform for all of you to subscribe to, where you can see all of our social media postings, you can see all of our events that are happening. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, and please, everybody write this down if you haven't received notice about it. September 30th in Placta Auditorium, the photojournalism degree program is hosting something really special. We are bringing in, thanks to generous funding from the Hearst Foundation, Pete Souza, who is a photojournalist. He served as the official White House photographer under the Obama administration. He was also working under the Reagan administration. He'll be here to give a presentation and a lecture in Placta Auditorium on September 30th at 7 o'clock. It's free. It's open to the public. This is one of the things that we're trying to do in order to draw attention back to our wonderful programs, and photojournalism is definitely one of those. We have Pulitzer Prize winners and nominees we call alumni and former faculty. Our current faculty and students are doing amazing work. And I mention that because it ties into the first new program that I would like to talk about, which is the sports communication minor. So when we reorganized three departments, communication, journalism, and broadcast and cinematic arts, into one new school, School of Communication, Journalism, and Media, the main driver behind that was the idea that all three of these fields have natural overlaps. In the Venn diagram of academia, each one of those units had quite a bit of crossover in terms of application of the study of the discipline, as well as the content of the discipline. And to continue that, the sports communication minor is one of the first, not the only, it is the first of what will be other efforts to really live up to that goal of a collaborative, interdisciplinary experience for our students, where they are definitely getting that cross-discipline, education and experience. Now, I have to tell you, one of the things we modeled this idea over was the IPR degree, the Integrative Public Relations degree, which was already doing that. It is served entirely by courses offered in communication and journalism and the media. And so we're really using that as a model. It's been successful. Look at the alums. Some of you were probably alums of that degree. All of those people went into very different fields, but still related to what they studied when they were here, still related to their internship and their experiences while they were here. And so we're trying to model other ideas in degree programs after that. And the sports communication minor is one of those. Now, a lot of students who have come through our broadcasting program or our journalism program have incorporated elements of what this sports communication minor is, but we never formalized it, which meant we couldn't advertise it. We couldn't communicate effectively with potential students, families, the public about what we were actually doing here. And so the sports communication minor is one way that we can do that. It sort of legitimizes that path within our degree programs of sports broadcasting, sports photojournalism, sports journalism. And the courses all feed into that career path, whether you want to be on camera on ESPN or Fox or any of the other sports broadcasts, or if you want to be a writer for sports journalism or a photojournalist. It's another one of those ways that we can help students credential themselves through their CV and resume when they're applying for jobs, rather than having them do the work of pointing out to a potential employer that, yes, I took these courses. Yes, I had these experiences. Yes, I worked the sidelines, not only for CMU games, but other sports teams across the state of Michigan. Uh, those small things, again, I've been preaching this since I got here. Generally, when we want to move a large organization like a college forward, the really big splashy things are great, and we'll get those, and we've had some of those, like a new school of communication, journalism, and media. But for the most part, it's all of these small changes and these small improvements that we make that, when added up, make a huge difference in terms of how we function, how we're talking about ourselves, how we're telling students what they're going to be doing, what their actual experience is in class, through advising, and then after graduation. And so the sports communication minor is another one of those ways that we're actively telling students, look, we recognize that a lot of you want to go into this field, and we're going to build this so that it's easy for you to see how that path exists for you. And then we're going to point to you, our alums, and say, look, we have people that do this, and we're going to talk to them, and we're going to bring them in to talk to you and let you know, what are the difficulties? What are some of the things you can do to better prepare yourself? And then we're going to talk to faculty, which they've already been doing, and listening to our alums. They're taking that advice and they're modifying courses. They're creating new degree programs. So the sports communication minor is the first of several steps that we're going to be taking to really solidify our position again. And I do mean again, because CMU has always had broadcasting and journalism and media at the forefront of our reputation. And we really want to re-embrace that and make sure everybody knows, not only are we still here, but we've always been doing it well, and we're just going to keep getting better at it. So come join us. And that's bearing itself out in the numbers. It's bearing itself out in our reputation in the state. Uh, you know, Sort of as a tangent, but related here, the faculty in the School of Communication, Journalism, and Media is working really hard to get all over the state and the region, making sure that they are present at the Michigan Association of Broadcasters and the Michigan Emmys. And our students are presenting their submissions to the Hearst Foundation for consideration for recognition and prizes. These are the types of things that build not only a regional reputation, but a national reputation. And that's really what we're looking at here. How do we ensure that when our students graduate, that they're not only prepared, but they're getting in and they're succeeding, and then we continue to help them along the way. So the sports communication minor is a very exciting new addition to that new School of Communication, Journalism, and Media. And I keep calling it new, but we're in our second year of it now. So we've got our sea legs underneath us, and now's the time to do the fun work. They've been doing a lot of the nitty gritty, nuts and bolts, behind the scenes work, creating new bylaws. When you take three separate departments who have been doing things their own way for, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 years, and now we've asked them all to come together and agree to do it all together. That takes a while, but they did it. They have bylaws in place for promotion and tenure, and That's a significant step forward. We'll be making some new hires this year in that school, and that's always nice too. It's always sad when we have faculty who are going to retire, and we have had a few who have indicated that this will be their last year. But it's also, the whole door closed, door open scenario. We have an opportunity to have some other people join us. And that's another thing that indicates that we're doing things right. When we have open positions, we're not only getting a tremendous number of applications, we are getting incredible people applying for the job to come work with us. That's an excellent sign that we're on the right path, that we're doing a lot of the right things. It's not just recruiting and retaining students, it's recruiting and retaining excellent faculty. And we're getting that. And so all signs are pointing to positive momentum and that people are believing in what we're telling them because we're showing it. We're not just saying it, we're doing it. So a couple of the other degree programs that are relatively new and are finally in that phase of newness where we can start measuring success. Animation is one of those programs. So the animation degree has exploded in terms of enrollment, reputation, and what students are saying about it. The animation program in the Department of Art and Design is headed by Professor Steve Lieber, himself a professional animator, and he has built a wonderful programmatic experience for students where they are getting professional level training on professional level software and film study. And they're doing excellent work, not just here on campus, but we're graduating them now. Now we have students who are graduating from that degree program and they're moving into the professional world. And the great news is what we're hearing from them is they're prepared. What they learned here at CMU in that department is absolutely preparing them to be a part of that profession and to succeed. In fact, some excellent news that came out right at the tail end of the academic year this last year and going into the summer was Professor Leeper, the head of animation, and one of his alums teamed up and wrote a grant from NASA, and they won this grant. And the purpose of the grant was to provide an animated short to help convey some pretty dense scientific information from NASA in a very digestible way. And it's one of those really, really cool uh, items in areas that we see that we don't think about. Like somebody goes to school to be an animator, they're probably thinking one of the big film houses, Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, or they're thinking of Cartoon Network or one of those different corporate entities. But the truth of the matter is that there's a huge field out there for this sort of educational animation because it's one of the problems the sciences have been facing for about a decade now, where there's a disconnect between the information they're trying to convey, which can be dense, a lot of jargon, but it's important knowledge and information that really needs to be shared widely. It needs to be made more digestible. And so they've turned to artists and they've turned to communication. And what we're seeing is this whole different area of a field like animation that's designed to allow these artists to express these scientific ideas in an accurate way, a comprehensive way, but it's much more easy to be digested. And more importantly, it can be geared towards kids. And so it serves an educational purpose. I think many of you are at my age or maybe a little older, and you remember all the Schoolhouse Rock videos, right? I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill. It was a really clever way to teach a whole generation of kids how laws become laws. And, we can sing the song, Conjunction Junction, what's your function? We learned about conjunctions. We have all these different ways that animation and art was able to convey either an esoteric idea or something that could be very complex or dense in a more simplistic way. And of course, in the case of Schoolhouse Rock, it was done through song that I can remember now many decades later. And I'm now passing on to my kids because becoming a bill has not changed and conjunctions still serve the same function. So it was really cool to see that news come out that they had won this grant from NASA. In fact, the animation degree has grown so fast and so much that now we have an excellent problem. And the problem is we need more space and we need more workstations. And so now we're in the process of my office and the Department of Art and Design working together to identify a classroom space in that department that we can convert into another animation lab. That That's the best kind of problem for a dean to have. Oh, this great new program, which is successful in getting all these students, needs more space and more computer equipment. So we're working on creating a feasibility study to redo a classroom that will serve multiple purposes because we're limited in space. So most of our space needs to be able to serve multiple purposes, but will allow the animation students extra workstations because, to be honest with you, the most amount of time when after they're done with their creation, they have to sit and wait for things to render to see what it looks like as sort of a draft. And then, of course, a final product. And that requires horsepower of a machine, time on the machine, and then, of course, the software, the Toon Boom software that we purchase a license for. So it's an excellent problem to have. I'm currently working as dean on trying to create some connections with those animation companies. Pixar, Disney is one of them, of course, DreamWorks, and then the aforementioned corporate other corporate entities. The more students we put out that are doing excellent work, the greater our reputation becomes, and the greater that happens. Not only can we continue to be selective with who we're bringing into the program in terms of their ability and their desire and their work ethic, but also the more attention we're going to attract from those corporate entities. So keep an eye on that space. We're going to be looking to sort of build some animation workshops, animation weekends, where we're bringing in guest speakers. We're bringing in career services from those corporations to talk to our students about preparing for the workforce at those companies. It's all very exciting. And then, of course, they put on some, I guess, film festival type shows that they do where they feature student work. They always do that. There's at least one student animator who has an exhibition during the annual student exhibition in the art gallery, University Art Gallery. I'm blown away every time I see it. And, I talked to Steve and I said, I can't believe this is student work. This is the same quality work that I see on television and in film. So that degree in particular is incredibly exciting. Another new degree, which is another one of these collaborative interdisciplinary ideas, is the commercial music degree. This was launched the year before I got here, but it really took off last year in terms of enrollment and the demand for this degree. And this is jointly offered in terms of the coursework between the School of Music and formerly Broadcast and Cinematic Arts, now Media Arts within the School of Communication, Journalism, and Media. And this degree is specifically designed for students who want to pursue music study for commercial purposes, whether that's popular music or shooting music video, or if they want to be a producer, or if they want to write, I hate to say jingles because that's sort of an old term, but it's instantly recognizable, especially for people of certain ages. Anything having to do with the commercial aspect of music creation, music performance, or use of music, students are pursuing this degree. And, as a musician myself and a music professor for a long time, this has been a gap in the music profession. You either went just to a school that taught you audio production, being behind a board, whether that was live audio or studio audio, or you went the classical route. And there was very little in between. The Berklee School of Music in Boston started focusing on this niche probably 20 years ago. And, it's a huge, huge enroller for them. But in the state of Michigan, it didn't exist. And so, my colleagues in the School of Music and my predecessors as dean saw this as an opportunity, and I'm really grateful they did. The enrollment in that degree is between 70 and 80 majors, which is massive for a degree that's only been around 2.5 years. And it continues to have high demand. And it's another one of those good problems to have. We're running out of workspace for these students to do their work because it's shared with media arts for the most part. And we're going to have to hire some additional faculty in the School of Music because we have all of these new majors who have to take music theory and other related courses. And so right now I have School of Music faculty who are teaching overload in order to accommodate the number of students that we've brought in to this degree program. And the one benefit that doesn't get talked about enough when we have a new program like animation or sports communication or commercial music is it increases enrollment in the other degrees because of that momentum, that perception, which is accurate, that things are going really well. This is a forward-looking program and a forward-looking institution, and it really just builds confidence in prospective students and their families.
And that is the one thing that I do want to ask alumni to continue to do is that if anybody mentions CMU or, hey, you went to CMU, my niece is thinking about going there, mention these things. There's tons of positive momentum, not just in this college, but all over campus. Commercial music, I think we had a donation. We had a donor who provided $60,000 for new equipment in the program because, again, the more students we need, the more we have to be able to provide opportunity for them to do their work. Not having labs for animation or for commercial music student or workstations is equivalent to not having a performance space for a performance degree. It's just something you have to have in order for those students to get the proper experience here to train them to be a professional once they get out into the world. And so we're going to build that out. In fact, we just submitted a feasibility study for the third floor of Moore Hall here, so 2 floors straight above me, the former Broadcast and Cinematic Arts office suite, to turn that into a brand new audio production suite that would not only accommodate the students in media arts focusing on audio, but also the commercial music students. And so we would be talking about gutting the current space, rebuilding it, so that it's not only soundproof, but has the correct equipment and would provide a professional level experience for students in terms of software, hardware, and just the general operations so that when they go out into the real world, they're used to it. As a performer, and by the way, if anybody tuned into my recital last Tuesday, thank you. But as a performer, getting the experience of just being on stage and playing at a really high level is the best kind of training you can have for the real world playing in an orchestra. There's nothing more nerve-wracking for me than to get called to be a substitute musician. Somebody gets sick or they need somebody at the last minute and they call me to come in. I'm not worried about being able to play my part. I know all the literature, I played it all. The scary part is going in to playing with a whole new group of people I've never played with before, but more scary is what does the hall sound like? Because every hall sounds different. You hear different things. And what's the conductor doing? He or she or they, sometimes they do crazy things and you have to kind of get used to what's happening. Everybody else already knows, but you don't know. That's the same equivalent of never having been sitting in front of a workstation with a certain kind of equipment or a certain kind of software, and then you have to jump into it in a job. Yes, you can adapt, and all of our kids do. But the more we can provide them the experience of that professional level workstation and the equipment, then the more confident they're going to be on day one when they walk into there. It's just like our broadcast students, everybody who's been on New Central Channel 34, they talk about the fact that when they got into a real broadcast studio, they felt pretty confident because they had already had that experience working with that equipment and that software and that kind of setup. The hierarchy, they've been in those positions. So we need to make sure that we're providing that for all of these new degree programs, as well as the degrees that we've already been doing for a long time. So a lot of really interesting things going on there. And then the last new degree, which is not officially a degree yet, I need to be clear about it because I was told I have to be clear about this, is the arts administration degree. I proposed this when I first got here, my first college meeting. I've talked about it in a couple campus conversations, and anybody that's heard me speak in public in the last 2.5 years has heard about this degree. But we've crossed another hurdle. So the degree has been approved in principle by the Academic Review Council. It still has to gain approval from the Academic Senate, which we'll be working on in the next calendar year before it's officially a degree. But we have received the funding and approval for a tenure track position for arts administration. We just finished the job description yesterday. There is a committee that includes partners from different parts of campus. So that job description is currently in faculty professional services. Once it's approved, we'll be able to launch a search for this position. And our goal is to hire somebody by January 1 who will come in and immediately begin working on developing the curriculum, finalizing it for that course. And then once the degree receives its final approval from the university and the academic senate, meaning the provost office, then this person will begin recruiting almost immediately. And as a reminder, this degree is designed to serve two purposes for our college. Number one, we'll be the only school in the state offering this particular kind of arts administration degree. We want to prepare people who have this love and passion for the arts, but they have this ability for administering and managing budgets and writing grants and doing development work and public relations work. We want to train those people to go out and lead our arts organizations, our galleries, our symphony orchestras, our ballet companies, our theaters. We want to send people out there who can help provide excellent leadership backed by knowledge in business, in management, and the arts, and help lead those groups into more financial success and stability for the long term. Now, I've said it a bunch of times, and it's true. A lot of the people running those types of organizations that I've known in my life, they did great work, but boy, it was an uphill climb for them. They were former artists and performers who had some acumen there and were thrust into the position and did their best, but boy, did they have to work really hard in order to do it, because we don't receive that kind of training in the performing arts. It's just not something that happens. We're so focused on preparing for a performing career or an artistic career that for generations, we haven't really talked about that. Now, we've gotten better, you know, writ large. We've gotten better about providing some entrepreneurial skills for students, particularly artists, so they know their value when it's time to sell their work, especially in graphic design. But this degree is aiming to train a whole group of people who are really confident and comfortable and just built with the knowledge for leading these types of organizations, managing unions, especially when we're talking about theaters. You know, how does that relationship work? How do you work with your board? Because large theaters, boards, ballet companies, art galleries, they all have boards, governing boards, advising boards. It's a really important part of it. And we're going to train those people, and we're going to send them out there, and they're going to make a big difference in that world. Now, the second part of it is we're going to fill in that gap that I just mentioned. For generations, we haven't had that training as artists. We're going to provide that. We're going to tell our theater majors, our art majors, our music majors, take these classes. You don't have to be an arts admin major, but take these courses so you have this knowledge. You're armed with it, either for yourself if you want to go out and make it on your own as a freelancer or an entrepreneur, start your own group, or if you end up finding yourself in a position where you have this opportunity and you want to take it, you're armed with that knowledge and know that you have the ability to do it. Now, I have to admit that we have brilliant people in the Department of Theater and Dance, and Heather Trommer Beardsley, who leads the dance area. When she built the dance studies major, she had that same ethos in mind. And she built arts administration classes into the dance degree so that all of the students who go through the dance studies major graduate with that knowledge. They have that ability. So this is something that we all agreed on. To be perfectly honest, when I proposed it, I kind of expected a lot of raised eyebrows and maybe some rolled eyes and, oh, great, here's another project. I didn't get that at all. There was genuine excitement about this, and everybody could clearly see why we needed to do this, and that it wouldn't cannibalize, you know, our music, theater, and art majors. In fact, what it's probably going to do, it's going to attract a lot of people who are looking at business degrees. And don't worry, I've spoken to the business dean and I've told him, look, we're not coming after your kids, but we're offering a different option. A lot of students that go into business administration in particularly have this affinity for the arts, and they would like to live in the arts. This degree is going to allow them that chance and that opportunity for that career path. So I'm very excited about the idea of being able to be at the ground floor of training people who are going to go out there and just help the arts, not just survive, but thrive, to build, to help provide some direction, to embed themselves in the community even more than they are, because that's part of the training of the degree. In fact, there's so much excitement about the degree that we are not legally allowed to advertise that we have an arts administration degree, because we don't, but we already have students asking about it. Incoming students who are touring campus saying, hey, I heard you have an arts administration degree, or you're going to have one. Tell me about it. We have donors who are stepping up already, and they want to establish scholarships for an arts administration degree that I don't even officially have yet. This is the kind of excitement and enthusiasm that I really, really am hoping to capture, and we're capturing that. So all of these degrees, which are new, are very exciting. And I'm not even mentioning the rebirth of the social media certificate. over in the School of Communication, Journalism, and Media. That's another one that we're going to be really taking a look at and building out and focusing on the research and analytics side of that particular certificate. So many great things happening that are attracting positive attention, building positive momentum, really capturing the student interest. And in the coming months, we'll be spending some time primarily through advertising, getting the word out even more. And again, there's so many amazing things happening. I haven't even talked about the drone program in a while. We're building on that. That's expanding. Anyway, I'm looking at the time. It's 12:35. I need to leave some time to answer some questions or address some comments you may have. So I could go on for 3 hours. I got to be honest. There are so many amazing things that the faculty are doing in the college that they usually just come to me the more I talk. But let me take a break and take any questions you might have. If you want to put it in the chat or put up a hand or just ask it out loud, I'm happy to address any questions you might have. We have the only commercial music degree in the state of Michigan. Yes.
I guess I have a question.
Speaker has a hand up.
I have one.
Yeah.
The commercial music, when you say commercial music, are you talking strictly for commercials, or are you talking like for TV, movies, that sort of thing?
Anything non-classical. So it's instead of a classical path of study where the goal is to be in an orchestra or an opera company, all of the things, including film music, music for commercials, popular music, whether that be, you
Right.
know, rap or R&B or whatever it is, that's where that lives, is in that degree program.
Okay.
And it's going to continue to grow because students are coming in constantly with things that we didn't even think about. Video game music is another one of those areas that we have a tremendous amount of interest from students. And the great thing is they're getting the classical training in music theory, and they're getting some of the musical history. And so it only increases their ability. So they're doing some audio editing, they're doing composition, and then of course they're doing the production end of it as well. And they've got an entire school of music with 330 music majors in it to play their music with them. So it's really a perfect marriage. And Phil, I know that, you know, film and TV music is near and dear to you, so.
Yeah, it would be great, like you were talking earlier about the synergy of the different colleges molding into on each other, because the stuff I work on, we have a composer, we also have music supervisors that look for needle drop, you know, songs from wherever. And in school, it would be great if somebody's working on a film or a TV project and they need a composer, that somebody comes from that side to help create the music for a TV show or a film or a short or an animation. That part of the synergy is what is exciting. So
I couldn't
Good
agree
night.
with you. I couldn't agree with you more. And that's the path that we're headed on, right? Is
yeah,
putting those students with each other to create these really great collaborative projects. And you know, the film students do a great job of finding either canned music or talking to some students, but we want to formalize that and make it part
sure.
on purpose. You know, not just oh, go see if you can get something. Our film people are so great here about making those connections, and this collaboration between MCA, media arts, and music, I think is just going to continue to expand.
Sure. It just makes sense.
Can I just add that also part of the degree is entrepreneurship, so that you know, we're getting that business sense. And yeah, I mean, in the media, the music industry class that I teach, it is we talk about all three streams, so not just, you know, record sales, which are gone, music publishing, and then live sound as well. So we're covering it all.
By the way, everybody, that's Dr. Heather Polinsky. She is director of the School of Communication, Journalism, and Media, and an audio person herself.
Yes.
I have a question.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, how's it going, Danny?
Good.
Um, So maybe I missed it at the beginning. By the way, good job looking at the camera. You know, we teach it. You're living it. Awesome. Uh, so I apologize if I missed it at the beginning. So do you have like numbers of how much enrollment is up in your school, your college this year, or percentage yet? Is that public?
Not yet.
Then I have other
In fact,
questions.
census just ended last Friday, so I expect to get those numbers either today or tomorrow, actually. Um, we we definitely have more majors that have come in, but the way CMU works, and Scott, you probably know this, but everyone else might not, is students can wait to sign their major until second year or even third year. So we kind of have to go in manually to see what a student has registered for over the course of a semester or two to see, oh, that kid is clearly going to be XYZ major because they've signed up for all of these classes. So until they officially sign the major, it doesn't come in as a major. In fact, my associate dean just ran all the reports for me yesterday. And the good news is that we have increases in places where we were really targeting, boy, we really need to increase the enrollment here. We also had increases in places where we thought, hey, you know what, we're doing pretty good here. We don't have to focus on it so much. And we had increases anyway. So that's really good. But right now, and this is really preliminary, it looks like we had about a 2% increase in majors coming in. The ironic part is that and I always want to be forthright. We had a dip in our student credit hour generation for this fall, but a large reason for that was because our projections were set so high based on our success from last year that it was always going to be difficult to get there. So we ended up at 98.5% of what we were projected to have. And that's not majors, that's just the number of credits we generated for the fall. But the good news is we might end up hitting 100% anyway by mid-October, because when the second 8-week session begins, there's more SCH that'll get tacked into that. So it's quite possible we ended up at 100% again, which would be fantastic. That would be 2 years in a row, which is always nice for me as a
Awesome.
dean because that means I have more revenue.
Yeah, this is always great information for, you know, those of us that volunteer our time and go to the admissions events and that kind of thing. It's good to know what programs you're focusing on so that we can try to recruit students for you. Just second question real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking with professors in media arts and actually alumni as well who work in the field, I know that a lot of our broadcast engineers are aging out of the system and their professions. Any thought about maybe introducing a broadcast engineering program?
Well, since Heather is in the room, maybe I'll let her answer that.
Yeah, we've kicked this idea around a lot. Electrical engineering folks are okay, you know, on board with it. We just don't have anybody interested in doing it. That has been our biggest roadblock. And once they get into electrical engineering and find out how much regular electrical engineers make compared to broadcast engineers, we're done.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah,
That's the truth. Hey, all right.
yeah,
So
it
we
is.
need to sell the excitement of being a broadcast engineer.
Exactly. But when you know, a broadcast engineer can pull down what, 50, 60 grand, and if you go and sell your skills to like energy and things, you're gonna make 150,000. We just can't compete.
So one of the things I think we can do is okay, the same argument would apply to a lot of the arts, right? You can be a classical orchestral musician, and unless you're good enough or get lucky enough to get into, you know, New York Philharmonic, Chicago Symphony, Boston Symphony, you're going to be lucky to make about $50,000 a year. But it's the idea that over the long term, your self-enjoyment, your life fulfillment is going to be enough that $50,000 is going to feel a lot more. And we also teach them to be a little more entrepreneurial on, you know, how can you what are other things that you can do alongside this orchestra career, whether that's teaching adjunct at a college or doing some recording work, whatever it might be. I mean, that was the path I took, to be quite honest. I tell people all the time, nobody goes to college and says, I'm going to be a dean one day. You know, that's not how that works. Typically, you just end up in that, which is how I ended up here, to be honest. But that total life fulfillment, even when I started as a faculty member, a tenure track faculty member, I was making 42,000 a year. I never thought about it really, because I was doing everything that I loved, and I was just excited about it every time I went into work. And I did take a brief time away where I went out and I took a bunch of auditions and I got some orchestral work, making really good money. And I was kind of miserable, to be honest with you. It wasn't really what I was looking for. So I think if we're looking to attract broadcast engineers, or if we want to build a program like that, that's really where we're going to have to go. Because that happens in theater too. You know, you get a lot of engineers who end up really gravitating towards the theater profession once they find out that, you know, not only the set design, but the lighting and the technical design part of it, they want to be in the theater. Like they just want to be part of that culture of being a theater person. So maybe there's an opportunity there for us.
I mean, well, the radio and television industry is begging for it. We just can't seem to get students interested in it. It's the same thing with media management right now. Can't seem to get students interested in it.
Well, we'll work on that.
Yep.
If you don't ask questions, I'm just going to start talking again. That's a threat and a promise. Okay, here I go. Last chance. Okay, so some of the things that we have done in the last, let's say 18 months to 2 years that I can tell you about is, you know, one of them is the Presentation Skills Center. And I've talked about it in the past, but probably not recently. So the Presentation Skills Center existed, and then it went away during COVID and didn't come back for a while. This center is specifically designed to help tutor students in oral presentation skills, but also building presentations. You know, that I think that's an undervalued skill. Is And any of you who have worked in any kind of corporate environment or bureaucracy have been to many meetings where someone loads a PowerPoint deck and they start talking and they're essentially just reading off the slides that you're reading. And you're sitting there the whole time going, you know, you could have just emailed this to me. I could have read it and then we could have saved the meeting time. Really effective meetings, the PowerPoint or whatever other presentation materials you're using should really enhance what you have to say or to show, instead of just always being verbatim. And this applies for being teachers too. You know, I was in the classroom for a very long time, and developing effective slides is really important. And here's how I know that other teachers were not really putting the time in, because students would come up to me all the time and say, I'm sorry I missed your class. Can you send me the slide deck? And I would say, it's not going to do you any good. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I said, it was enhancing my oral presentation. It was not the entire content of what I had to say. Well, it was just in the book, right? I was like, no, the book is the book. And that led me to believe that a lot of their other classes were just slides typically provided by the publisher. And if you're not aware that happens, it happens, or it used to. When you bought the book as a professor, you could download a slide deck for each of it. And it was basically the chapter in outline form. So the Presentation Skills Center teaches people to develop an effective presentation, and then also coaches them on what to do when you have to give the presentation, maintaining eye contact, being able to read the room, and then also pacing,
tone of voice, volume of voice, and we do it with a virtual environment. Students are wearing the Oculus headsets, and I've tried it. It's actually pretty cool. It can be preloaded with different sized rooms that serve different purposes. So boardrooms, conference rooms, classrooms, giant lecture halls. And actually, I got to be honest with you, as a former professor, it was very effective because in the large lecture room environment that I was in, the kids in the back row are on their laptops. Half of them are kind of sitting like this. A couple of them look like they're asleep in the back. That's real. And so I was pretty impressed with how the artificial intelligence was able to mimic that and incorporate it. People can ask you questions in your presentation. You can do a job interview with the headset where you can pre-program what kind of job it is you're looking for, and it'll preload questions from ChatGPT, and it reacts to what you're saying. So if you say something bad, it kind of gives you, one of those. So the Presentation Skills Center is one of these important things that we really needed to bring back. And the executive director, Leslie Withers, came to me with the idea of incorporating that virtual reality technology. And it's only going to grow from here. She has a mandate for this year to develop courses for corporations so that we can start soliciting these businesses, healthcare organizations, Dow Chemical, all these different corporations within the state of Michigan, Rocket Mortgage, and say, listen, if you want your employees to be more effective communicators, especially the people in leadership positions, we can design this course to your needs, and then the corporation pays us to deliver the course. And so it's a revenue generator as well. So this is another one of those little auxiliary units of the college that's really starting to see some major attention being drawn to it. I'm looking forward. I have a meeting with that team next week so they can give me an update on what they accomplished, how many students have come through, and we have generous support from the College of Business and Administration. They firmly believe in this. At least a third of the students who visit the Presentation Skills Center are business students, and so they've been very helpful with funding it. And that has provided us the ability to buy all the equipment, renovate the space, hire some staff and student support. It's a very innovative and unique thing on our campus, and I'm hoping we can continue to build out, especially when the College of Education builds out their augmented reality and virtual reality space. We're hoping we can be able to team up with that. The drone program is doing fantastic. We've got about 9 different irons in the fire. Kevin Campbell's been leading this. Heather Polinsky, who just spoke, was the one who wrote the original proposal to start a drone program. So we're using it in a variety of different ways. And as an example, we used to hire a company to fly a plane over campus, taking several passes over campus and shoot photos of the tops of our buildings. And it was not just photos, but infrared as well. So we could see if there were heat leaks so that we needed new insulation, or if there were rain leaks, or if a roof was going bad. And we were paying about $30,000 a year. Now we have drones doing it. We have drones flying over our buildings and taking these photos and providing that information to facilities management. Excuse me. And so that's just one tiny little way that this idea that Heather had is expanding. We're already using it in video. Kevin has shot some amazing video of the marching band and of the football games. We've done it of our indoor spaces. There's a video being produced that shows the large spaces here in CAM. And then we're incorporating it in our teaching as well. Kevin teaches a class where students can earn FAA certification in drone flight. So that is a program that's only going to continue to grow and work its way into our degree programs and our classroom experiences. Drone show training in the works? Yes. We have been working with the College of Science and Engineering on drone swarms, and I have been a very loud vocal advocate for including the Department of Art and Design to help with the artistic design part of developing drone shows. And if you've never seen a drone show, they're pretty spectacular with the things they can do. So we're really, really excited about the potential that the entire drone program has. And again, thanks to Heather publicly for even moving the idea forward. It was something that I think maybe there had been conversations about it, but Heather was the one that saw the opportunity and really jumped on it.
And I was floored when they gave me the money. I mean, it was more one of those things like, we'll just put in the application and see what happens. And then, oh my gosh, they gave us the money. Now we got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're really looking at being able to expand it. We have a proposal in the president's office, which I believe is going to get approved, which will provide extra staffing, extra maintenance budget, and a proper storage facility for the fleet of drones that we have. You know, drones are one of those interesting technologies where when the program was launched, they bought a few drones and then they started showing their work to people on campus, and more people got interested. And we discovered there were all of these units all over campus that had purchased drones either through grants or somebody just gave it to them and they weren't using them. And they called up Kevin Campbell and said, "Hey, could you use these drones?" And Kevin was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And so we almost doubled the size of the drone fleet just from people who had them literally sitting on a shelf. Two of them had not even been taken out of the box yet. And so it's naturally just CAM has become the hub for drones with CSE, College of Science and Engineering, for obvious reasons. The weather people want to get involved. Archaeology wants to get involved because some of the fixed wing drones, which we don't own yet, can use LiDAR, laser imaging. I don't remember what the acronym is, but basically LiDAR can see through a jungle canopy and see what's underneath it. So if there are structures underneath forest that have been buried even, it can detect that and show an outline, and it shows archaeologists, hey, there was something here, we should go check it out. And so that's another one of those areas that just infinitely expandable. Kevin's working actually with the Rural Health Institute here at CMU on a grant to deliver medication to rural areas using drones. So there's all of these different tentacles that happen when you come up with a cool idea like that. I told you I could go on for hours. Anybody else have any questions? We are planning some additional alumni events. We'll let you know when we have some more solid information. Last year we had one in Los Angeles. I don't know if Phil's still on the call.
Yep, I'm here.
Thanks to he and Christina Hajar for organizing that. It was a great trip. We want to come back out there and do another one now that everybody knows we're serious about reconnecting with our alumni on the West Coast. Personally, I'd like to go to Chicago, Atlanta. We'd like to come back to New York, and we're looking at joining with College of Business and Administration on doing one in Dallas. We have quite a few alums in the Dallas area from the College of the Arts and Media. It's really one of the best parts of my job to get to meet all of you and hear about what you've done and how much you still love this institution. Oh, that's great, Scott. Oh, don't forget November 16th, Media Hall of Fame, second annual Media Hall of Fame on November 16th here on CMU's campus. We have an amazing group of people being recognized for that award. Heather and her staff and my staff are working to get the new ginormous Media Hall of Fame display set up here on the ground floor of Moore Hall. We ran out of space from the Journalism Hall of Fame, and since it was a new entity anyway with a new name, we're putting it on the ground floor. It's going to be beautiful. There's a surround for it and everything. And we wanted to put it in a place with a lot of traffic, so anybody who walks by knows that this is here and sees it. But it's gonna be great. You can, I'm pretty sure, Heather, you can correct me, Allison, you can correct me, you can still get tickets for the
yes.
Media Hall of Fame.
Allison just put it in the chat.
Oh,
And
fantastic. Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
shout out to Scott for all of his work too.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. I mean, it's an amazing production within the ceremony itself. It really highlights the capabilities and the talent of all the people who have graduated from this college.
I have one thing about back to drones.
Yeah.
I just got done filming some episodes of a show on Peacock called Twisted Metal season. It's second season, based on a game like everything is, it seems these days. But we were using drone almost every day, and with the drone school, which I applaud to no end, there's so many uses. In our world, we're trying to tell a story, and so the dramatic abilities that you can do with a drone should be something that's part of the school, because if it's for archaeology, it's one thing. It's for policing, it's another thing. If it's it's real estate uses it now. But in movie making or TV making, usually you're looking for that angle that you can't quite get with a regular camera, or something that's either faster, higher, lower, safer, going along a lake, you can't do that with you could do it with an expensive helicopter, but the drones nowadays are so, and the bigger thing is there's one guy that we trust in Toronto. Toronto's 3.5, 4 million people. And then we have one guy that the rest of them are just not up to it. They're either learning, they've got the drone and they think they've got it, but it's an art that about piloting and camera work and how lenses work. There's a whole nother part of the story that the drone, I mean, nowadays we take a drone out when we go location scouting and we fly over the location to see what's around it, just for information. But when we're shooting it as part of the story, we're looking at, all right, what's the shot we can't get with a crane camera, or, we use a motorcycle cam a lot, things like that, all sorts of whiz bang stuff. But the drone has become this kind of thing where it's like you talk to the pilot, and you talk to there's 3 people usually, the camera operator and the pilot, and you say, all right, we need to go longer lens here to crush it a little bit, and you need to fly really low along the side of the car and then fly over it and go to the other side. That sort of storytelling stuff is something that could be part of the drone lab. Have a separate kind of thing about telling a story with it.
We
So-
have a class, storytelling with drones.
You're ahead of me as usual. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Have you ever connected with Zach Huffman?
No.
Okay, he was a grad student. He went through our program as a grad student, and he has his own drone company, and he's been working with us, and he helped us develop that course just for the very reason that you're saying it is an art and a
Yeah.
skill to be able to use the drone. So it's not just shooting the picture entirely with the drone. It's using the drone shots in with the regular camera to
Yeah.
tell the story. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Hey,
great.
Phil, next
Wonderful.
time we get you on campus, maybe we can get you to talk to the students about some of that.
Yeah.
Sure. I think I might be out in mid-October. I've been
Perfect.
chatting with so yeah, I
Great.
might even make the meeting
Whoa.
on the 18th. Yeah, I've got an opening in my schedule, so we might take it, my wife and I, to go to we have a place up north of Traverse City.
Hey, Phil,
So-
it's Christine. That would be
Yeah.
great if we can work that out.
Yep, I think it's gonna work out. I just gotta figure out a couple small things, but I think it's gonna work out. Probably
Okay,
like the 17th and 18th, something like that.
okay.
Hey, and real quick, because I know I'm over time, I see Larry Joe Campbell's here. I wanted to thank him publicly again. He hosted an alumni reception in Traverse City for us this summer for summer theater. And Larry, I know, I think you have a book coming out in December, don't you?
Hi, everybody. Good morning out here. Yeah, actually it comes out in the spring, but so I'm going to be performing in Muskegon and Bloomfield Hills with the little show, trying to represent it a little bit to get some pre-orders going. So yeah, thanks for the plug.
No problem. Everyone, thank you so much for being here today and giving up time during the middle. Hey, Dan, I just saw you too. Good to see you again. Thanks for taking time out of the middle of your afternoon or your morning coffee with me. I always enjoy these because it's just a chance for me to brag about things and to tell you about all the good stuff going on. Keep an eye out on news for Central Michigan University. Sometime in the next between a month and 3 months, we'll have a new president announced. So that'll be big news that'll be coming out. As always, feel free to contact me. You can contact me directly via email, or you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can go through one of the development officers. Both Christine Allwood and Megan Moreno directly work in development for me, but Allison Smalley also she's like constantly everywhere. I don't know how she does it all. So I want to thank them as well. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. You can contact Heather if you have questions about anything specific to media arts or audio, but I'm always happy to address anything and can always put you in front of the right people. I hope to see all of you very soon, either at where you live or where I live. But in any case, have a great day and I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah. Fire up.
Fire up, Chips.